Hello YouTube, Sir Dragon X here, coming to you from Santa Fe, New Mexico. That's right folks, I'm still in the United States and hope to be returning back to Mexico soon. Today we're going to answer the question of what are the advantages of getting Mexican citizenship if you live here in Mexico? And the answer would probably surprise you in the video coming up next. Welcome back to Retired Life in Mexico. No bull. Not only where we present you with the facts, but we present you with the true reality. So, you moved to Mexico and you love it so much here that you want to become a Mexican citizen. Hold up. Not so fast. There are some consequences that you may face if you obtain Mexican citizenship. Today, I am going to address those consequences and help you decide whether eventually obtaining Mexican citizenship is for you. Also, if you already hold dual citizenship, this video applies to you so that you can be aware of the consequences of holding that dual citizenship. Before we start, I want to thank everyone for supporting this channel. This channel has only been up for a little over 3 months and we have almost reached 1,000 subscribers. And by the time I post this video, we'll probably have reached 1,000 subscribers. Also, our Facebook group is slowly but surely growing. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that this would turn out the success that it has. What started as a hobby has grown into a passion for me. If you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe because I have a lot more exciting content to share. I also encourage you to like this video if you enjoyed the content, and feel free to comment on this video with any suggestions or topics that you would like covered in future videos. Also, don't forget to visit us on Facebook and Instagram in the links listed in the video description and of the channel. As always, I remind my audience that I am no expert and I can only speak from my personal experience and my work background. As far as my work background, I was assigned to the State Department by my agency for 3 years in Brazil as a diplomat. I also want to share with you my personal experience in dabbling with the prospect of getting my Mexican citizenship. I always remind people that every experience is different and what may work for one person may not work for another. I was recently watching several expat YouTube videos explaining the process of how to obtain your Mexican citizenship. The problem I saw with these videos is that they address the process but do not address the consequences. I am here today to address these consequences and explain how the consequences may not be in your best interest. I am also here to address that for a very small group of people, getting their citizenship may outweigh the consequences. So let's get started. Now look, my goal of this channel is not to scare people, but to educate people of the full picture and consequences of decisions that you may face when moving to Mexico. So many YouTube channels glorify living in Mexico and make things seem so simple. Truth is that you will encounter hurdles and may face consequences that these channels do not tell you. There is also a lot of opinion that floats around on Facebook groups that simply isn't true. As a matter of fact, I just replied to a Facebook thread that I was putting together this video. This very question was just recently asked, and you can imagine the amount of responses and opinions this poster got. Now, some of those opinions were true, some of those opinions were false, and some of them were somewhere in between. Here at Retired Life in Mexico, I like to say, as the famous Paul Harvey would say, and now you know the rest of the story. My true intention is that if you decide to move, travel, or already live in Mexico, that you come with eyes wide open. Always better to be prepared than blindsided. Now, there are consequences of becoming a Mexican citizen. So, what are these negative consequences of becoming a Mexican citizen? Let me share my personal story. When we first decided to move to Mexico, we spoke with a very prestigious Mexican attorney in Monterrey who happened to be a close friend of the family about immigration status. Since I am married to a Mexican citizen, I obviously asked about the option of attaining my Mexican citizenship. I was so excited at the time that I was moving to Mexico that I wanted my Mexican citizenship to make it official. Well, the lawyer kind of burst my bubble a little bit. The lawyer promptly told me, knowing our personal situation, that getting Mexican citizenship was not in my best interest and that permanent residency was my best option. He went on to say that permanent resident reserves the same benefits as a Mexican citizen with the exceptions of voting, owning land close to the ocean, or owning land close to the border. The lawyer went on to cite a case of a French woman named Florence Casas that was arrested and accused of participating in a kidnapping ring with her then boyfriend. In 2005, she was sentenced to 60 years in prison here in Mexico. She maintained that she was innocent and the French government intervened on her behalf, not only with the legal assistance, but also with diplomatic pressure. Her conviction was eventually overturned by the Mexican Supreme Court and she was released from prison after 6 years. One of the reasons, amongst others, that the conviction was overturned was that the Mexican authorities did not give the woman her right to contact her consulate for assistance when she was arrested and also refused to give consular access on several occasions during her legal battle. The lawyer went on to explain that if it wouldn't have been for the intervention and help of the French government, she probably would still be in a Mexican prison to this day. He explained that if this woman would have obtained her Mexican citizenship, the Mexican government would have considered her a Mexican citizen first and would have not acknowledged her French citizenship as her primary citizenship. Therefore, Mexico would not have been bound to diplomatic rules and treaties, which would have hindered the French government from intervening and helping to the extent that they did. Also, as I mentioned, the conviction was overturned partly due to the fact that Mexico broke these rules. Another interesting fact is that as of the taping of this video, 71 people have disappeared on Highway 85 on the stretch between Monterrey and Laredo. It wasn't until a United States citizen recently disappeared on June 13, 2021 with her children on Highway 85 that the government has taken note. The Federal Bureau of Investigation pressured the Mexican government, and not only is the Mexican government investigating her disappearance, but also increasing security on the highway in question. The U.S. government was able to put diplomatic pressure on the Mexican government due to the fact that the person was a U.S. citizen and was bound to assist due to diplomatic treaties that we have with Mexico. So, what does all this mean? Well, bottom line is that once you become a Mexican citizen, the Mexican government will consider you a Mexican citizen first and will consider any other citizenship secondary, which enables them to circumvent several diplomatic rules and treaties that exist between Mexico and other countries. So basically, therefore, you lose your rights as a foreigner. Now, I have to clarify something here. It does not mean that your home country will not intervene on your behalf if for some reason you need assistance. What I am saying is that the Mexican government does not have to abide by certain diplomatic rules or treaties that exist when intervention is done by another country if you are considered a Mexican citizen first. Okay, let me make this analogy. It's sort of like when you're covered by two different insurances. The secondary insurance does not have the obligation to pay the primary cost of a claim, or may not pay anything at all depending on what the primary insurance covers. Does this analogy make sense? I know some of you know this, but many people do not realize this, but you do actually have a very important right afforded to you as a foreigner. I personally experienced this working in the federal law enforcement as well as working as a diplomat for 3 years in Brazil. This right is pretty much universal worldwide that protects foreigners while traveling or living in most foreign countries. The most important right you have is if you ever get arrested, you have the right to access the closest consulate from your country. As a matter of fact, the government of Mexico must inform your home country upon arrest. For example, when I arrested foreign individuals in the United States, I was mandated and required to contact the closest consulate and give consular officers full access to the arrestee. This also applies to Mexico. Okay, so you may be saying, but look, I'm not doing anything illegal here, so why should I worry? Well, getting arrested here in Mexico is not as hard as you think. Did you know that if you get in a car accident and someone is injured, you automatically get arrested and put in jail, even if it's not your fault, until the accident is sorted out? This could mean hours, days, or even weeks in a Mexican jail. And I'm sure glad that I have an option to contact the American Consulate immediately to obtain assistance. Even if they can't get me out of jail, they can ensure that my human rights are being complied with and my legal protections are being followed. Also, I have personally seen cases where foreigners have been falsely accused of crimes and a foreign government has intervened and helped the subjects in question. Now, let me make one thing clear here. Your consulate is not here to get you out of jail. They are here to ensure that your basic human rights and legal rights are being adhered to, and in extreme cases, they have the option, not the obligation, to place diplomatic pressure on Mexico. So the basic question is, do you want to lose this right as a foreigner by obtaining your Mexican citizenship? Well, the answer to that question for me is no. Now, you may be thinking, I just explained the negative consequences of getting Mexican citizenship. Are there positive consequences of getting Mexican citizenship? Yes, there is, and let me explain. Actually, there are some benefits, but the benefit is only for a small minority group of expats. Remember I mentioned that in order to own land close to the beach or the border, you must be a Mexican citizen? Well, there are some people who wish to purchase properties close to the beach or close to the border. Now, at this time, the only two solutions to buying property that exist for expats without citizenship is to place the land in a trust with a bank or lease the property and build on that leased property. The big problem here is that if the bank goes under or the people leasing the land decide to take back their land, you could be in trouble. Actually, this has happened, and as a result, people have been kicked out of their homes with little or no recourse to get their property back. Although what I just described is very rare and does not happen frequently, there are some people that want the security that they outright own their property and feel more secure knowing that their home cannot be taken away. Also, I recently read an article in Forbes magazine that many wealthy expats are moving all their assets overseas and renouncing their U.S. citizenship in order to avoid paying U.S. taxes. Now, don't get all excited thinking, I'm going to go get my Mexican citizenship, renounce my U.S. citizenship, and I won't have to pay U.S. taxes. That's not how it works exactly. For example, my pension is a U.S.-based source, so regardless, I still have to pay U.S. taxes. Also, many people rely on Social Security, which is a U.S. source income, and you would lose it if you renounced your U.S. citizenship. Many people work here remotely, but derive their income from U.S. sources. Well, bottom line is that you still have to pay U.S. taxes. This tax option does not exist for a majority of expats. And another thing to note is that while you may escape U.S. taxes, you still may have a tax liability in whatever country you live in. So, is it beneficial to get your Mexican citizenship? For me, I would say no, but that is a personal decision. After working in the law enforcement field and as a diplomat, I would rather maintain my rights as a foreigner, and I don't plan to buy property on the beach. As a permanent resident, I pretty much hold the majority of the same benefits as a Mexican citizen. Now, I did mention some exceptions, but you must think long and hard before you make your final decision, and that is a personal decision that I cannot advise you on. Now, I can't end this video without mentioning another group of people. This group of people are the group of people that love Mexico so much that they want to become a Mexican citizen regardless. I have even heard arguments that if you hold a Mexican passport, this opens you up to many travel opportunities that you do not have with a U.S. passport. I respect that, and as I said, it is an educated personal decision that you must make regardless of what anyone else thinks. I know I'm going to get criticism on this because people want a black and white answer. But unfortunately, on this topic, I cannot give you advice one way or another. All I can do is educate you so that you can make a decision that is best for you. I hope this information was helpful, and stay tuned for more to come. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you won't miss any of my future videos. Until next time.